All right, friends, welcome to another episode of Healedish, and I am back with Brandon, my husband, and we are going to be doing a Q&A session. You guys submitted so many questions, so hopefully we are going to try to get through as many of them as possible. I sorted them into questions for Brandon, for me, and then for both of us, so we will do the both of us at the end. But starting off strong, Brandon, people wanted to know, how great was the Disney World burger?
Oh, okay. Well,
You guys are about to be so disappointed.
the burger, I vaguely remember it, honestly. From the Yak and Yeti, right? The Yak and Yeti, yes. The place where it all went down. We have that video. If you lurk somewhere in the social media histories, there's a video when we went there later and saw the place where it all happened, and you were acting it out again. It was a very interesting experience to be there and kind of secondhand see it. But the burger itself, it was fine. I think I remember it being good. I saw a picture of it again the other day, and it looked, the fries looked very good. The burger itself, I think I remember thinking it was good, and that's about all I can say about it.
Brandon doesn't have the best memory. What I'm going to tell you guys is that this burger is amazing. Okay. I remember it being one of the best burgers I've ever had in my entire life. Highly recommend. We did go back. So like he said, I think that video was the one that kicked off me posting on social media, really, was I had posted that video of us kind of reenacting the whole burger situation with my cousin there at the time. And then people wanted a story time. So then that's when I did I got divorced because of a Walt Disney World burger thing. But Brandon and I did go back. When did we go? I think we went on our honeymoon, which that was hilarious.
Yep.
But, we went back and we got the burger. And it was
Nice.
fun. We took pictures and it was hilarious. So
It was a nice time. I enjoyed going. I like hearing the lore and kind of picturing what it's like. That's one thing I guess people don't know about me, other than those close to me. I like to picture scenarios and stuff. So, and like what if situations. And so I like to think about, what it was like, what it would have been like to see them, during that moment. And also sometimes like, if I had been there at that time, I would have done this and that. Don't get me started on Ted and the ways I feel about him and how I can get when I am very upset and think about the things that he put you through.
yes, that is one thing. I'm not a very imaginative person. I don't daydream very often. Bran is a huge daydreamer. He's always thinking about scenarios. He will often say, what if there was a magic time machine and I had gone to you in Atlanta and I knocked on your front door when you were living with Ted and I told you that I was from the future? Like he loves these questions and I never know how to answer them. I'm like, I would think you were crazy. I don't know. I probably wouldn't believe you. And he's like, you wouldn't believe me, as if I should have some loyalty to some man knocking on my door. But that was your first question, was the Disney World burger.
How did you find the courage to speak out? And what made you want to start posting on social media?
I like your question reading voice.
Thank you.
It's so sweet. Let's see. I've always been a big oversharer, always. So I think even when I was with Ted, part of the reason that season was so hard for me was I was living this double life of acting like everything was fine. Meanwhile, I was not okay and all of this was going on. But during that time, I had fibromyalgia. So I was dealing with a chronic illness due to the stress of the abusive relationship. And I was sharing about that all the time as well. I had a blog at the time I was sharing about that. So I've always been pretty big into sharing whatever is going on in my life. So like I said, that was just hard for me to not share that. But as far as sharing this, I think the first time I ever talked about domestic violence was, I think it was for the Domestic Violence Awareness Month. I made a post on Facebook, and it was in 2020, so shortly after it happened, and I didn't give very many details, but I said that I had left a domestic violence situation, and I think from then on, I've always wanted to write a book. That's one thing as well. So I've always known that I want to share my story, and it's been a dream since I was a kid. So I think once I shared the first domestic violence post, I did start to get a lot of people message me, just friends, because at that point I didn't have a social media platform really. It was just Facebook. And I had people reach out to me and tell me that they were going through situations with their boyfriends. I even had somebody message me and tell me that they called off their entire wedding because after I had shared a bit, they said, I noticed some of the red flags that you mentioned with Ted, and I called off my wedding. So I think that has just been incredibly rewarding for me to feel like I could be helping anybody who is in a similar situation. So my sisters got me on TikTok. They, they had to do it kicking and screaming. I did not want to join TikTok in my mind. I was like, oh, that's like the Gen Z thing to do. I'm too
I
old
remember
for
that.
that.
I remember being in your parents' kitchen, being there with your sister and your other being in the living room and talking to you about TikTok and telling you about videos that were going viral on TikTok and what their feed looked like. And you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe. And she's like, yeah, she was just saying how she was doom scrolling on TikTok, just going. She'll spend hours on TikTok just because the videos, it's so easy. You're just on to the next one, on to the next one, on to the next one. And you thought, oh, okay, maybe I'll try it. I forgot what it was. I think it was some trend. Maybe it was cat videos or what was it?
What I posted for the first time?
Well, like, what was it that like got you to download it? Because I feel like you wanted to see something. Was it like
Yeah,
cat videos or animal videos or something?
possibly. Yeah, I feel like in the beginning, my For You page was mostly animals, and I like loved it. It was also like couple prank videos, which I
Really?
didn't like them. I don't know. That was like the first thing that they just automatically put on my For You page
Huh.
before it started to know me. But I do remember in 2020 when we finally downloaded it, you were there. You and I sat on my bed and we were dying laughing. We were scrolling till like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I posted a story. I should find it. It's like you laughing with your
Really?
hand over your face. And I put, we just discovered TikTok.
Really?
Yes.
Wow! I need to see this.
Yeah, you were wearing my Longhorn sweater. Well, I guess it's yours. I stole
My
it from
Longhorn sweater.
But yeah, I think the first time I decided to post was when I got my breast reduction. So I got my reduction and I wanted to do one of those cool like before and after videos. So I had taken before and after, and that was my very first video on TikTok. But I think especially once I started to share about religious trauma and domestic violence, it was just amazing to find people who've been through similar things, and unpacking occult and high control religion to feel like I wasn't so isolated was huge for me, because like I said in the last episode, you feel like this is the world. This is the one way to do things. So just like how having Brandon in my life to be able to tell me no, like that's actually pretty crazy. I similarly got levels of healing and still do from sharing, my fears of eternity. I didn't know that anybody else was afraid of eternity. I felt like I was such a bad Christian growing up because they said, someday you are going to be in heaven forever and it's going to be great. And I thought that sounded awful. And to be able to be online and just be able to find people who feel the same way, it is very healing. So
What would
that
you
is.
say like the thing was that like really was that first spark to like, okay, I'm going to talk about religion. I'm going to talk about deconstruction, Bethel, to like start to like open up that can of worms?
I don't even remember. I don't know what really started it. That is a very good question. I don't know why I started talking about it. Because at first, I think when I first started posting, I was thinking I wanted to really post about domestic violence and that be like the main thing that I post about. But I think that it just naturally kind of went that way because probably what it was people asking me, well, why did you marry him? Why would you have married him? And I
Mm,
think it took me down that path of like, oh, well, I met him in a cult, and then
mm-hmm.
people wanted story times. And then I ended up doing that, 50 or so part series on Bethel. And that was like one of the big starts of me like actually posting and starting
Yeah.
to take content creation more
And
seriously.
there was that whole I Married a Psychopath series that you did as well. And I mean, religion is so much a part of that as well because it was so much part of your relationship. So I agree with you when you say that it kind of just
Happened.
it just happened just over time, just because of the nature of the life that you had lived and the aspects that were involved, mainly being religion. It kind of just went that way because that was your life. No, no, we had no sort of like preconceived notion of trying to hit this point. It that's
Just
just
was.
your life. Just was. So let's see. I have another one for you, if you don't mind. Have you maintained friends? Yes, that still believe what you don't.
Ooh, yeah, I have. I don't think that we're as close, some of them. Some of them we have remained close. I think it's not I think that there was another question there too, right? They were asking about like if I still talk to people in the cult
Well,
as well.
yeah, like whether you have how you navigate that, someone who is still in that world drinking the Kool-Aid,
Yes.
and how do you deal with someone who people that are are good people, good-hearted, they want to help others and stuff, but that is the avenue that they went down and they're still within that whole Bethel sphere of influence.
Yeah, I can remain close to people who believe differently than me, like for sure. I think the issue with Bethel, especially since all of the Sean Bowles stuff has come out, it's been a lot. So keeping up with people who still love Bethel, that has not really happened. I've had some friends who still enjoyed Bethel up until maybe 6 months ago, and they're starting to not like Bethel as much. But it is kind of hard to be close with people who think that Bethel's amazing. I did have this one scenario. I didn't even share this with you, Bran, yet, and I don't know that this was the right move. This was my human move. So watch me overshare. But there was a girl who I really loved when I was at Bethel. I'll call her Susie. Okay. I loved Susie. We were best friends at BSSM for years, and she was in my wedding to Ted, and we had remained pretty close. And after that, I didn't tell her of what I was experiencing in my marriage because I wasn't telling anybody. And then when I finally left, I don't know, like we had just kind of lost contact throughout the years because we were living in different states. And I felt like not crazy supported. She definitely supported me leaving, but we weren't super close anymore. And then, Bran, when you and I got married, Susie Venmoed me $200 as
Hmm.
a wedding present, which was very nice. Which, I mean, that was crazy. I remember I was at dinner and I was like, what? I haven't spoken to this person in years. I cannot believe they just Venmoed me $200 and said, just wanted to say I'm so happy for you as a wedding gift. But I have felt kind of upset with that person recently because they kind of stayed in the Bethel sphere. They did BSSM, and then I think Bethel did a creativity school as well. I don't remember the name of it, but it was basically BSSM plus creativity, so fine arts and stuff. And she stayed there. She stayed in Reading up until a couple years ago, I think. And I think she still fully drinks the Kool-Aid. And it has really hurt me. I'll say, and maybe I shouldn't have, but literally this week I unfriended her because I feel very hurt that she has never reached out about the Sean Bowles situation. And anybody in these sectors knows that this is a huge conversation that's going on right now with Bethel leadership and the cover-up culture. And my story has been a decent part of that coming out. Not me forcing them to make a statement. I do think that that was Mike Winger, but it has been a talking point, and it has been very painful for me that she has never reached out or said that that wasn't okay. And I kind of thought that maybe she would reach out once Bethel apologized, because I don't know, like they're even admitting that they're wrong, but there has been no reaching out. I don't know, to just even like see how I am or say, like, I'm really sorry that Bethel did that. And then I think as soon as I started posting deconstruction content, I mean, she has not liked or interacted with me for a long time. So that's been hard. I think it's hard to maintain friendships like that because in a friendship, I do think that you need to feel supported and you need to feel seen. And I feel very unseen by people who still drink the Kool-Aid. Um, Now, if we're talking about theology, can I be close with people who still believe in hell, but they're nice people? Absolutely. I have tons of people in my life who we don't agree on theology and we can remain close. So it's not like I need to be in an echo chamber. I think it does just go back to relationship rules and boundaries and those sorts of things. So if someone can respect me and be kind and be a good friend and be thoughtful, um, yeah, I absolutely can. I think what was so painful about that is I've just been getting so many messages, even from Bethel students who are still in the school saying, I love Bethel. I think you're completely wrong that they're a cult, but I'm so sorry that they failed you. And I'm so to have strangers who still love Bethel reach out to me and try to be kind to me and have Susie not do that, that was pretty painful, I would say. So yeah, I think it's a case by case situation when it comes to stuff like that. Oh, wait, I have one for you.
Thank you.
So somebody asked, what has Brandon read or learned to understand me better?
I think it's probably just a bit sparse or wide ranging. I think there's like some true crime that I think gives me some insight into some of the personal side with you and Ted. There's some things like that podcast series from a few years ago that was about Bethel.
Which one? Were they my episodes or you mean Heaven Bent? I think
Heaven Bent.
Yeah, he listened to some of Heaven Bent to try to
And then
understand.
yeah, oh yeah, and then later, you telling your story, on different podcasts and others, talking about that, and just talking a lot of another thing is kind of like the whole like your social media and like comments that you get. There's a lot of people that have similar experiences, and you say, "Hey, that happened to me. This happened to me." Even if not everything that they say or done you have direct experience with, there's something you can point to that I can see, oh, okay, I connect that. Plus just photos from back then, Shiny Happy People, again, was a great example, even if it's not necessarily just the going out and traveling, just the kind of like the mindset of people in those kind of circles. There's a lot of overlap there between people at BSSM and the people that would go to something like that and choose to travel the world and spread the message of the Lord.
And all of that. Yeah, he also read quite a few books, Bran. You're not giving yourself enough credit. You read Come As You Are. We read that together. And that really helped me heal from purity culture. And I think being able to read that together was very helpful. If you guys don't know about that book, you should absolutely read it. It is very
Awesome book.
helpful.
Everybody should read it.
Yeah, it should be required reading for everyone because it talks about how to handle if you and your partner have different sex drives and also just like learning what you like. It's very sex positive, but it's also it's not something Christians can't read, either.
Yeah.
It's respectful and everything. It's just about human sexuality and getting to know your body and how to communicate
Exactly.
with your partner. And
It's saying
I feel like
it's not saying
great.
you should go out. It's not saying go and have sex outside of marriage. It's not saying do this,
Which we
or
think
do
is
that.
fine. But,
Yeah, no, yeah. No, I'm saying for people who do have
who
qualms
don't.
with that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm saying that it's just about understanding who you are. That way, if the subject ever comes up, say you're unmarried and you meet someone and you want to be with them, after the fact, you'll know yourself and you won't be like, I have haven't explored my body. I don't know anything about anything. Let's see what happens. Or if you are married, you have a spouse, and you want to try to get into the mind of, the opposite sex or the same sex, just your partner, to understand someone's way of thinking that may not be exactly how you go. It kind of broadens your horizons a bit. That way, there's common ground for everybody, and to really feel like, okay, I think we're on the same page now. Now we can kind of figure out what we're doing and see how to get to a good situation that all parties involved are happy.
Happy and enthusiastic. And yeah, it is just a very, very good book. So he read that. He also read, he's read some theology books with me.
Mhm.
We've read some Bart Ehrman, history of the Bible. And that was one thing that was so good when we started dating was we started to read books together. We would go back and forth. And I think, if I remember correctly, we've read 50 to 70 books together, or
Wow.
audiobooks. We listen
Mhm.
to audiobooks, and we have a lot of fun doing that. So I think, yeah, Shiny Happy People, that was an interesting one for him to see. And he did watch Bethel's Apology with me. That was so funny.
It's
I said, look
true.
at us, Brandon, watching a church service
Oh,
today.
Lord. That was something I never imagined happening at our
A
apartment.
Bethel church
My goodness.
service.
Yes.
It was very
Whew.
interesting.
All right, let me see. I think I have some more questions for you. Ooh, do you still listen to worship music?
You know what, Brandon? No, I don't.
What?
I, I know. I mean, to be honest, even when I was still with Ted and when I was in Atlanta, and I still believed in all of the manifestations and Bethel theology, I still didn't listen to worship music very often because I found it triggering. Like I said in the last episode, I just found it to make me feel claustrophobic and stressed out and shame. And it is sad that all of those connotations are kind of latched to me from, or, in my mind. So that's kind of hard. I think, yeah, I just have no desire and haven't for a very long time. And we were joking about this before because I told him that that was going to be one of the questions. And Brandon, you listen to worship music more than I do.
No, not worship music, but I
Okay,
do
hymns.
listen to more Christian music than you do. And it's not in the sense of like putting on some our like Hillsong or something like that. It's pretty much like recordings of folk songs, old folk songs from the early mid 20th century, and now, Appalachia, someone in their guitar singing that have been passed down for generations that are just like about religion. Because that's what they sang about, and, a lot of other things. Religion was a big part of their culture. And so just, I like the historical aspect of it, the simplicity aspect. And some of the songs do remind me from when I was, going to church in like a more folky sense, which is what
Wholesome.
I love. Yeah. And so, and me being me, not having any church trauma, I'm just like, oh, that's nice. That's a nice memory. And some of these songs, hearing them in that kind of context. So yeah, it's really funny. The one who was like went to like a religious school for years and stuff, doesn't listen to any, and then person who just was Catholic for a bit and then peaced
Vibin'.
out. Yeah, yeah, it's no point. It's no prob.
He would bond. It was so sweet. My grandma has since passed away, but he really bonded with my grandma Jerry over hymns because she, knew all the hymns. She was a pastor's wife, and Bran knew a lot of them too because he would listen to a lot of those either growing up or just he liked the music. So before she passed, we had multiple worship nights where Bran would bring his guitar and my grandma just wanted to hear some hymns, and she was obsessed that he could play Old Rugged Cross and, like play some of these hymns that she really loved. And those were some very happy memories. And actually, he even, you performed at my grandma's funeral as
That's
well.
right.
That was
I
before we
did.
even got married. But I think she asked, did she ask before she passed away, will you
Yeah, she
please
did.
pray? Yeah.
She wanted me to go and perform a couple songs, and yeah, I was more than happy to. It was a good experience, and even for your other grandmother. I mean, we also performed there and sang too. I mean, I just thought about it right now. It's very interesting how one grandmother was the wife of a pastor, and the other one was the daughter of a pastor.
Oh,
It's
it's so
interesting.
true. Yeah.
It's interesting to see how there are so many celebrities like in your similarities in your parents' like upbringing in terms of that and how close they were to the church. So it kind of makes sense, the way you were brought up in the culture of just church being ever present, in life. It's very interesting. But yeah, I have great memories of that and going over to her home and bringing my acoustic and playing and us all singing together. And it's a good times in those couple years that we had. Hmm.
Okay, are you ready? I have one for you. How have you both worked past Juby's past with domestic violence?
Worked past it.
Like, what is it? I think a lot of people probably just want to know how has that affected me and our relationship and working past those triggers.
I think as time goes on, from what I see, it really has become like less at the forefront of your mind. I know that in the very beginning, it was very present, especially early on. Even as you mentioned about worrying about him coming to San Antonio and just showing up randomly and wishing you harm, or something like that. And then as time has gone on, things have been chill. Nothing like that has happened. The divorce has gone through. We've been together a long time. We've gotten married. It becomes further and further in the past. And it's uh, been nice. I know there's a particular time that I remember from early in our relationship. Maybe what was it, April or something, a month in, if even.
Early. Hmm.
Yeah. And we went to Chick-fil-A just to go to the drive-thru, get food, picked up, and we got our food and then we were like arguing about something. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't important. And we pulled off into the parking lot, like next to it, and I went and stopped and looked at you. And then I felt at the time that I felt like this wasn't the conversation didn't matter. Whatever we disagreed upon, it wasn't a big deal. So, I stopped and I opened the door thinking I wanted to hug you. I would have done it inside, just across like the center console, but I wanted to really hug you and show you it's no thing, it's not a problem. But when I did that, you were worried. You like jumped and were scared, and I was like, "What's wrong?" And you were like, I think you asked like what I was doing, what I was gonna do, and I was like, I just wanted to come and hug you. And just at times like that, I mean, you broke down, and I came around. We opened the door, and we hugged each other, and it's just an example of where your mind naturally goes. Okay, something like this is happening. He's probably about to freak out. Oh my god, just being back, pulling yourself back to that time, and just needing to kind of relearn all of these old habits and that it's not like that. And I say that even honey, if there's ever anything going on, if we're ever arguing or fighting or disagreeing or whatever, wherever we are, in a conversation, if we're like the most upset at each other, if we need each other, just say, pause. I need you right now. Everything stops. It doesn't matter. We love each other. We're married. We're husband and wife. We're going to be there for each other because that's what, at the end of the day, we're okay. We're going to be all right. It's just a process and just understanding that the person sleeping next to you at night wants nothing but the best for you and wishes you no harm. And, you have a long life ahead and you can be yourself with them.
That was a very scary time for me. I think I don't know. When he opened the door, he like he said just wanted to hug me, and in my mind I immediately started panicking. I think I was like having a panic attack, and I was like stop, 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 and he was coming around to the side of the car, and I really thought that he was going to like hit me or pull me out of the car, brand me there, because that's stuff that Ted would do. He would like kick me out. One time he tried to kick me out on a road trip in Wyoming where it was like, my gosh, like nothing around for like 100 miles, and was going to leave me on the side of the road, So I think I was just very, very triggered by that, and at that point I didn't know you like fully, like I feel like I know you. I feel like I trust you, but also I just came out of this like very violent situation. So I think, yeah, just time, honestly. It took time for me to realize that that's, like, not how Brandon is. Like, Brandon doesn't yell. He's not a yeller. He doesn't get super upset. When he's upset, he, like, walks back and forth, like, he paces silently. That's when you know Brandon's, like,
I
really
pace and
upset.
I run my hand through my hair. That's like as crazy as it gets.
The extent, he, like, doesn't raise his voice, so I think just time and trust really helped me realize, okay, he's not like that. He's really chill. It takes a lot to upset Brandon. He's very, very chill. So I think just learning him and his demeanor really helped. But it was hard like you said, it was hard, especially when we first got together. I was so scared that something bad was going to happen to me. And I would just cry and tell him that I was afraid I was going to die, and I think it was very, very, very helpful to have somebody there to reassure me and tell me that he would protect me. And yeah, I think it's just been a process of realizing that dynamic that I had with Ted was not what I had with Brandon. And it just took day after day of me seeing that to really believe that.
Well, let me see. I think I have another question for you. Let's see.
I'm like, you should. There's a million questions.
Let's see. I may have one more. Let's see.
One more.
What do you think is happening when people manifest or get drunk in the spirit? Did you ever see anyone ever get healed?
Ooh, good questions. No, I did not. So I don't know what's happening. Not a clue. I'm going to say that I would like to watch some cult documentaries or talk to people about what is going on in people's brains. So for those who aren't familiar, people would manifest in the spirit. So you would like start twitching uncontrollably, kind of like jerking back and forth. And like people from these circles, you'll know what I'm talking about. They would go, whoa. So they're like twitching and then they go, whoa, So like, I feel like that makes me cringe so bad. I just remember,
Jubilee, how did they go?
whoa.
Wait, how? How did they go?
Stop. No. It was so embarrassing, but it's like, that's what it was like, and it was loud. Maybe that's why I also don't like worship music, is it takes me back to like those worship nights where it's like fire tunnels, it's just so intense, and the spirit. So, I've shared it before, but that did happen to me. I did twitch. I don't really know what's going on, guys. I don't really know. Looking back, who knows? I think I had seen people do it for a very long time at that point. It was probably about halfway through my first year. And I'd been begging God to let that happen to me because in my mind, everybody else was experiencing God. And I thought, what, do you not like me? Like, I'm open to this. I want this. I'm not chosen. I'm not holy enough. And I would just pray to God that this would happen to me. So I do think that there is some psychology behind letting yourself be taken away maybe by it because it's something that I deeply wanted. I do not think that it would have ever happened to me had I not seen it displayed in front of me every single day for hours for half a year. It was something that was so ingrained in the culture. And I don't think at 14 years old, I would have just done that in my room with no one watching. So I do think that there's levels of pressure, peer pressure, and also just wanting it. And as time went on, I definitely feel like I was making it happen. There would be times where people start manifesting or you're walking through this fire tunnel, so people are touching you and they expect you to manifest. And once you've quote unquote manifested before, you're like, I know what that feels like. I know how to do that. I know how to twitch, and you do feel the little goosebumps. Yeah, you feel goosebumps and you convince yourself it's the Holy Spirit. And I'm not saying that people can't feel God and have goosebumps. So I'm not saying that. I just think that it's easy to let yourself like get carried away when you are in these very high control religion sectors. And no, I never saw anybody get healed. So yeah, I saw people say my head feels a little bit better. I had a headache. It's gone down, but who knows if that
down a little
real.
bit. I think.
Please stop praying for me. So yeah, no, nothing ever concrete that I ever saw. Other
Just
than
like a
one
learned
time, I think
behavior.
we convinced, actually, wait, I thought that, not at Bethel, but I thought here in Texas that I had seen my friend's leg grow out, because that was like a really big thing at Bethel, is they believed that if you have back pain or knee pain, it's because one leg is longer than the other. So there was this constant, let's pray for their legs to grow out. Put your legs out in front of you and we'll see if one's longer and we'll pray. And we had convinced ourselves that my friend's leg grew. And just recently, she slid into my DMs and said, hey, just want to let you know that my leg is still longer on one side. And she said, I think I must have just shifted my hip. So I think there's just a lot of drama. There's a lot of hype in these
Mhm.
circles. So
Yeah, I think it's easy to fall into that, especially if you're in there, as you said, just constantly. It's a learned behavior. It's a social behavior. The social norms shift the longer you're there from what you had when you were growing up to this is your new environment. This is the new normal. So doing something like this isn't that out of the ordinary, not that crazy, as it may have once seemed. So therefore, it's easier for you to do something like that. All right, let's see. I got the next one. Let's see. Okay. Do you ever worry about the next person to be with your ex?
all the time. Yeah, I think it's one of the harder things for me to try to deal with in my brain is I have a lot of people who tell me that I need to post his face because I block off his face and all of my stuff. For my personal safety, I don't feel like that's a good idea. That's just me. I don't think that that's the right move as of right now. Although I will say we are very protected over here. Okay, so we take care of ourselves, But I
Yeah.
would say that I just don't feel like I need to do that at this point. And also, I have made it clear very many times, like, if people ever see him or, yeah, see my posts and his face blocked off, I'm convinced that I would know who that is. If I actually knew that person. Like, say you're dating
Yeah.
him, you'd be like, that looks like that guy, and didn't
Yeah.
he get divorced? So I really feel like people who would know him would be able to tell. And I've always said that if somebody ever sees him and wants to ask me, I'll totally verify. If they say, is this Ted? Because that's not his real name, I would say, yes, it is, or no, it isn't. And I'm more than willing to girl or anybody tell them about that. As far as someone dating him next, okay, I'm going to be honest, guys. He was not like a huge dater, or at least that's how he came across. But I mean, who knows? Who knows,
Mhm.
guys? I mean,
Yeah.
he was such a
Who
liar.
knows the truth?
He told me he was a virgin when we got married, and then I found out that he was frequenting strip clubs the entire time we were married and engaged. So I have no idea what the truth is about this man. Um, and he I do know that he was abusive to his ex-girlfriend and the girl that dated him after me. So he definitely has a pattern of behavior, and I believe that he is just an unsafe human being for anybody to be in a relationship with. So yes, I do think about that, but I have not seen, I don't know, I haven't heard of that. I think if I knew that he was in a relationship, I would think more about that, but you know, it's hard. It's really hard because I think also I've read the book Why Does He Do That by Lundy Bancroft, and he talks a lot about with survivors you have to be careful. like you genuinely have to be careful about your safety, and he says the greatest indicator that something could happen to you is if you have a gut feeling that it could happen to you, and he has found that to be true when he works with abusive men and women who are their victims. So me personally, I have just chosen to trust my gut and try to leave it for now. But yes, I mean, I do worry about that, but I do try to remind myself that there's only so much I can do. And I am hoping that by sharing my story and sharing red flags and being open about domestic violence, that I'm helping as many people as I possibly can. Not even just from Ted, but just in general with abusive relationships.
Yeah. No, for sure. I mean, I think there's by sharing every single story that you have, maybe someone may find something in common with even just one of them and may cause them to second guess, where they are, and maybe look into it a bit further and come to a greater understanding. Okay, this is what I just thought was normal is not. What do we do now? Do you just address it and try to move through it? Is it a point where you need to like cut it? It's I very, very much respect what you do and why you do it. And I feel like it does a lot. And I feel like this subject needs to be discussed, whether it be about Ted or just anyone. If you're in a relationship where something isn't going well, talk about it, and look into it. Don't just take it at face value because you never know. You never know what could happen out there. You just gotta be safe.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. Ooh, I have a Catholic question for you. Did you like or dislike the exchange of peace at Mass?
Well, peace be with you. That whole thing. Did I like it? I mean, I thought it was a little awkward, because every week you'd go. If you were on the end, you'd hold hands with someone you didn't know, and just kind of like, okay, I didn't really know these people, and I didn't live or go to the town other than to get groceries or go to church, so it's not like I knew them and we would go see them at the restaurant or out at the movies or whatnot. But I mean, I don't think it was that big a deal. And I kind of like what it represented, the idea of just reaching over to your fellow man. I understood that. It was just, it's something you just have to
Like
kind of
it.
get through. Yeah, I think it's a sweet idea.
Yeah, I think it's sweet in theory. And Catholic churches are not the only ones who do that, Like my grandma's church, they did it too. I know it's not called the same thing, but they would do the whole shake hands with your neighbor, I think it's
Aw.
pretty wholesome.
Here, let me see.
Okay,
I
let
got
me
another one for you.
Okay.
Has leaving the church impacted your ideas about marriage?
Yes. Totally. I was taught, I feel like there's a phrase for it or there was a name for this, but I was always taught there's this umbrella. There's layers, okay? So you are supposed to have God, what is it? God, your spouse, your kids, and there's like a ranking system of who's the most important as well, as far as you are supposed to submit to your husband and you're underneath his covering. So that was something that I really believed in. I don't know. I never really questioned it. I didn't like the fact, I mean, I was told that if I ever got into an argument with my husband and say he wanted to move to a different state and I don't want to move to that state, he should listen to me, hear me out, but if we can't agree, he wins. I mean, that's literally what I was taught was that Brandon, shut up. He's like, oh, like kind of nice. No. So I think leaving that behind, this idea that the man just wins because they're a man, that has definitely changed. And just going into a marriage with the mindset of a partnership rather than, I don't know, feeling like you're being passed off from your dad to a husband and it
Yeah.
being a similar dynamic. And then on top of that, I think marriage is just so much better because there's mutual love and respect. And I actually feel like we're building together, which is great instead of feeling like I'm just behind. But I also do think that divorce is never off the table. Like that's how I view it now, as far as I will never put myself in that circumstance or as far as I wouldn't stay if something were to happen to me again, which it wouldn't with you, but you know what I mean? I think that has definitely changed my perspective because I used to think I would never, ever, ever get divorced, which is why I stayed with somebody who strangled me twice. And Now I know that if I was ever strangled again, I would get divorced. I would create a safety plan and I would get out. So I think, hey, I really just think it makes marriage better when you know that you're both choosing to be there because you want to be there and because you love each other unconditionally rather than this, I have to. I have to stay or else I'm going to go to hell. So yeah, my views on marriage have definitely changed.
I feel like you're a bit more involved because it's all coming from you. You're not feeling like, okay, it's happening whether I wanted to or not. I'm not locked into this. This is just, I'm choosing to be married. And because, things are good. I mean, you agree and all this stuff, but if someone does something wrong and they break the whole contract, then, but yeah, I get that. And let me see. I think I have another one for you. Let's see. How did Brandon make you feel safe to heal from purity culture?
Well, okay, I think I've been talking about this pretty much throughout both episodes, but there was one thing that I had forgotten to say that I think really helped me was I feel like you just really took away my shame around being human. I think there was so much shame in the church for just existing and having sexual feelings and also just being with people. That was another reason I broke down crying and sobbed when we first had sex was I remembered thinking that, "Oh my gosh, that adds another number." And I was like, it's another person I have to explain to like the big bad future husband someday, of like, here's how I messed up and like my body count and, that shame based thinking. Um, you really helped me heal from that. And in one of the ways that you did that was you were always open to hearing about my past. You wanted to know about my past relationships, and I wanted to know about yours. And this is one of my favorite things about our relationship, guys, is that Bran and I, we accept that we are full humans who had experiences before the other one. So, I mean, some people don't want to talk about it and whatever floats your boat. But I mean, we've talked about what it was like. How was it with that person? Like, what did you feel? Were you in love with them? And I've never felt like I had to lie to you about the feelings that I've had for other people. And it's really just made me feel more known and it makes me feel like I know you. And, I had a high school sweetheart who I was super in love with. And then I was also really in love with that Norwegian guy at Bethel. And yeah, those were the two people that I loved before you. And I think that being able to talk about that and not diminish my past experiences and just, I don't know, it feels like we respect each other, love each other as friends first. So, of course, I want to know you. Why wouldn't I want to know something that was important about you? So, I think that really just took a lot of shame around the idea of like, how could you? How could you have not like waited for me or saved yourself? And then in return, I've like gotten to do the same for you. And I think that that has been really healing. Okay, next up for you. Ooh, Brandon, big questions. Ready? How or has Brandon deconstructed his Catholic upbringing and how has his beliefs changed since being with you?
So I'd say just so happened within the time that we've been together, I have come to, I say, for the most part, deconstruct fully from Christianity. I have a lot of good memories attached to it. It's so interesting, right? The person that um, had not as bad of a relationship or not bad at all, from what I could, really say, I just kind of come away from it. I feel like growing up, always been a very scientific person. I think back to the times that I was in the church and, at the peak of my involvement and, I, pray at different times, the appropriate time. And it always felt a bit performative. Like I was doing it because you were supposed to hear, supposed to say this or that. Uh, and I would really, sometimes I'd be really intense with it. I even had one of the deacons, reference, me about maybe thinking about the idea of joining the church one day. And another, someone else, one of my classmates there at CCD brought it up too, because they could see my intensity being there and praying at the pew and everything. And it just, I would do it hoping, I don't know, to reach something, and I never did. And especially as time went on, the more I learned about the history of the religion, the stories and how things changed and over time and through people and, Paul and things being written and then maybe things not being written by Paul, by others who had different ideas for what the church should be, after Jesus came and switch things up and people are like, okay, that's nice, but let's actually make something to like build. I just feel like it's a creation by man around this religion that just happened to make it. I mean, I feel like there are so many that could have been where Christianity is now. It just didn't. And I think the message of love and forgiveness, there's a lot of goodness to religion, at least the ideas under it. I feel like now, especially like today, in today's political climate, being Christian it has its connotations, has its very strong connotations, which I kind of disagree with. And like I said, I don't think it's all just Christianity. I think there's a lot of things I disagree with, on the, conservative side. But
there are a lot of liberal Christians as well.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, my whole family are Catholics. They're all Christians.
I know, and they're all super accepting and very against what's going on. Yeah.
I think it's just a mix of it all. And science, I went out in high school, maybe late high school, I kind of viewed as like science within religion. The idea of like God playing a role in the creation of the universe through the Big Bang, kind of like picturing like a finger snap, God finger snap, and bam, universe. And then the 7 days or 6 days that everything was created, but not actually being 6 days, it being thousands of years and millions of years and whatever. But at this point, I just feel like whatever kind of religious experience there is, it probably has something to do with the intricacies and complexities of our mind that we don't realize is there yet. And I feel like, how some animals like birds and fish have a way of communicating like non-verbally, just kind of moving on a dime. You see birds, great masses of birds flying in the sky. Who's to say we don't have something like that was buried way up in our genes, our DNA millennia ago, and we can connect to others through that. I mean, I have an example that I think of as my twin cousins. They're both boys. One time they were in high school or something. One was in school and the other one was like out. And then the one that was in school was like, oh my goodness. And they called mom, like, Mom, is everything okay with my brother? My arm is really hurting. He's like, oh, like, yes, he actually, we're at the emergency room. He just fell and shattered his elbow and he could feel the pain in his elbow. He had no idea. Just all of a sudden.
That is the craziest story. I know, when your aunt told me that, I was like, I believe it. He just knew. Like he felt the pain himself from his twin. Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah, and the same thing happened with like dental work and things like that. They just feel it. And what is that? I don't know.
No, and there's so many stories where I'm like, bro, I don't know. Like, there's some crazy stories, that I've heard that I'm like, that's something. With my grandma, she used to always tell these crazy stories. And I mean, I believe her. She was so, my grandma Rachel, she was so wonderful. And she told this story about how one time my grandpa fell, and while he was on the floor, I mean, he was very, very sick. So he had fallen. He's on the floor. He's looking up. He's seeing angels in the room. He said that he saw angels. And my grandma, had pretty severe scoliosis, used a scooter, couldn't walk more than like hardly at all. She was not strong. She literally picked up my grandpa off the floor and put him on the bed. And she told us that he felt as light as a feather, that he didn't weigh anything. And I believe her. I'm like, I believe that happened. And I don't know. That's crazy. I believe that. And there was another story too, where she said that she had, she was a very, very dedicated teacher to some kids who were low income. She worked at a school here in Texas, and she had taken them to Six Flags, and she accidentally brought like half the amount of food that she was supposed to. So or I forgot what it was. Maybe the kids were supposed to bring food and then they didn't. And basically there just like wasn't enough food at all. So she said she had made this potato salad. Okay. She's stirring this potato salad and she's praying over it. And she's like, God, please multiply this food. Multiply this food so this will feed everybody. Magically, it fed everybody and they had leftovers. And she swears that as she was stirring it, that God like multiplied the food. So, I mean, there are stories that I know from people that I love and trust, and they're crazy. So, I mean, yeah, what is that? I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Very interesting.
I don't know. I mean, there could be scientific explanations for a lot of things. I mean, think about God. I mean, I think, is there like one theory is maybe he is some person or being on the next like level up in dimensions where time is then like a physical thing. Like, who knows if God is all knowing and all seeing, like what if he's able to be on one side of the field and be looking at people 2000 BC, walk to the other side of the field and see people 2000 AD, or BCE, or ADE, whatever it is now. And who knows? Maybe it's another dimensional thing. Maybe it's a great
Brand
communal
loves the dimensional ideas. I'm like,
I mean,
this sounds like a, what's it? I always tell him it sounds like a Marvel movie.
it's not Marvel movie. They got it from science and used it. I mean, it's a theory. It's a theory. I mean, but maybe it's some sort of communal consciousness between all of humanity that, when focused, can do untold things. Who knows? Way bouts of like science beyond what we know at this point, and we may not even know in this lifetime. Who knows? We don't know everything about everything. Will we ever know? We may never know. And I'm open to the idea of something like that. Do I think it's a big guy in the sky? No. But I think there is something. I am open to the unknown. Like, I believe in aliens. I think mathematically it makes sense that we are not the only life in the entire expanding universe. Millennia, I mean, like light years across galaxies, more planets in space than grains of sand on the Earth. I feel it just makes sense. And
My dad,
maybe God.
yeah, I have a crazy story. My dad, and like all of them, okay, very, very Christian, so they swear that they saw an alien or a spaceship. Okay. So I grew up being told this, and I cannot tell you, I have gone to all of them and said, are you guys lying? Are you guys like playing a prank? And they swear, like they swear to God, which they would not do. Okay. Because they're, they would not do that if they weren't telling the truth. So basically, there was this story that when my dad was little, they had come home from getting groceries, and the family had gone inside, I think. I'm trying to remember it exactly. The family had gone inside, but basically there was this giant spaceship that was taking up, I don't know, the entire neighborhood. It was huge. It was way bigger than the houses. It was taking up the whole neighborhood, and it was floating over my grandparents' house. And my dad was outside and he saw it, and then the family came out and they're like, oh my gosh. And they like see it floating above them. And that was pretty crazy. And then it ended up going away, like in an instant. It went away, and it apparently made the papers that people had seen something, and this was way back in maybe like the 70s or something. So they swear it. They said like the neighborhood saw it, multiple people said, what was that? So I don't know. It's so funny though. I always grill them at dinner and I'm like, are you guys lying about that alien thing? And my dad is like, I swear I am not lying. And I'm like, okay.
Who's to
He's
say?
a very moral person, so I don't think he would lie to me.
Yeah, who's to say whether it be aliens or whether it be some sort of military testing? Who knows what? Who knows what it could be?
Think about that. No, yeah.
I mean, things are crazier back then because people didn't have like all these crazy phones in their pocket. They could be like, we'll fly over a populated city. Well, yeah, who cares? That was a different time. Well, let's see. I think I have a question for you if you're open to it.
Ooh, okay.
What helped you realize being gay wasn't a sin?
Ooh, man, that one's hard. I'm trying to think about like the exact moment that I knew. I think it was like a long deconstruction process for me. embarrassed that I ever thought it was, but I mean, it was like the indoctrination of what I had been told my entire life. And also, um, I know I've shared it before, but I had a girlfriend when I was 15. She was my first kiss. And I struggled a lot with feeling like I was going to go to hell for that situation. So I was already going back and forth of, do I think that this is a sin or not a sin? And um, yeah, I think having people around me who had come out was a big part of it, knowing that I supported them. And yeah, I went through this phase where I would say, oh, I don't agree, but I support you, so I still hung out with their partners and everything like that. But I felt like, oh no, this is a sin. And I was so afraid that they were going to go to hell. This was like Bethel days, and I think when it really started to change is when I moved to Atlanta, when Ted and I were living there and getting to meet a lot of different people who believe differently from me. I think that was the spark of my deconstruction in general, because it was the first time that I was really around people who weren't drinking the Kool-Aid. And I mean, I was still pretty young at that time. What was I, like 22, living in Atlanta, and just feeling like it didn't feel right in my spirit. I would think, I don't know, it doesn't feel like a sin. I would see gay people who were in love, and I was being told by the church that I should think that this is wrong, or that they're not experiencing true happiness, it's fake happiness. And I just didn't believe it. I just didn't. It didn't seem true to me. And when it really started to come to a head was I was a background actor, and I had got cast on this movie called Boy Erased. It's an amazing movie. Everybody should see it. And in this movie, it is about a true story about a boy who was sent to conversion therapy. And it's horrific. I want to cry just thinking about it. I ended up reading the memoir after because it touched me so deeply. I'm going to cry. It's just such a powerful movie to see just the horrific things that people go through in conversion therapy. And I probably typically wouldn't have watched a movie like that because the cognitive dissonance of it all would have been too much for me. It would have made me feel guilty because while I wasn't like, yay, conversion therapy, I did think that being gay was wrong. So I was in that movie. I didn't know what it was about until afterward. And then when it came out, I convinced Ted to go with me, which crazy. Looking back on it now, I'm like, I cannot believe we went to go see that movie because he was like very homophobic, like actually homophobic too, not just in faith. I really think he was just homophobic as well. So we went to go see.
What did he think about it when you saw it? When he saw it, yeah.
Yeah, well, to be fair, he said, wow, that was really hard to watch. That's horrible that happened to him. Because there are some like horrible things that happen while he's there. And he was also sexually assaulted, not at conversion therapy, but before. So he had empathy for that person's experience. And he thought it was like an okay movie. But I started to really struggle with that cognitive dissonance of, okay, so I watched this movie and I know that I think conversion therapy is bad. I know that whatever I just saw is horrific and it makes me want to throw up. But also, why do I think that it's so bad? Because technically my beliefs align with that. Like technically my beliefs are, I do hope those people change and I do hope they become straight. So that I'm co-signing that. Like really, I mean, bottom line, my beliefs at the time co-sign people trying to become straight. And then that's when I just really started to think, okay, I really don't think that being gay is wrong. I just don't see it. So I would get into so many arguments with Ted and tell him, I don't think that it's wrong. And he would tell me that he thought that I was going to hell and that the world was changing me. And at the time as well, we used to watch all the Oscar movies. He was really into the Oscars. So we had seen all of them that year, except for, forgot if it was 2018 or 2019. We had seen all of them, but Call Me By Your Name. And I wanted to be able to say that I saw all of them because we also thought that one might win. And I'm like, what? I'm not going to see what might win. So I ended up watching it myself at home. He refused to watch it because he knew that it was about a gay couple and he refused. And I saw it and, I was sobbing by the end of it, and I thought it was beautiful and incredible. And I remember feeling so nervous to tell him how much I loved this movie. Um, and I think that that was probably my tipping over point, was just me being open to the arts, being open to people's experiences, and realizing that I just didn't believe it anymore. I just didn't buy into the indoctrination of what I had always been told. And yeah, that was a huge breaking point in our marriage, though, because I mean, you have to imagine he was thinking, oh my gosh, she's slowly, or sorry, not slowly, quickly changing, and she's going to go to hell, and I'm going to lose her. And I
She's
think,
not the person I married. Yeah.
yeah, and I also think he knew that religion is why I stayed with him. So I think that there was fear of, if this is the start of her deconstructing, she's going to leave, which is exactly what happened. So, I think that, yeah, that was probably some of the more pivotal parts of me changing my beliefs on that. But I do want to say I never voted for Trump. Although I do, yeah, I do want to say, I know I deconstructed a little bit later, but even in 2016, oh my gosh, I was like, absolutely not. He is disgusting, and I could never vote for somebody who talks about women that way, And I do
Yeah, screw
understand a
that.
lot of people are indoctrinated, and they voted that way and they've changed their beliefs, and that's cool. I think it's cool to change your mind. It's cool to realize that we're products of our environment and we get to choose what type of people we want to be. But I'm very happy that I never voted for Trump. So
Yeah, I mean, hey, and if people, were curious, white, liberal, I am very, very liberal. I
you
mean,
couldn't tell by his pride shirt.
couldn't tell. Fuck Trump. Fuck ICE. And Pride. Alamo Draft House. Love Alamo Draft House. It's a movie theater in our area. And this is a Pride shirt they had a couple years ago. And I just thought it's a cool shirt. And so, yeah.
He
Peace and love,
loves he
everybody.
loves rainbows. He wore rainbow socks to our wedding. It was great. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's rapid fire. All right, Brandon, I have 3 more for you that I'm going to have you
Ooh.
answer. Okay.
Okay.
Was Brandon taught about the rapture growing up?
So I taught about like revelations and stuff.
No, the
It was
rapture. Being
Oh,
flown
the
into the
rapture.
sky.
Sorry, I was thinking Revelations and the end of the world, the rapture. Um, Maybe not in the way you mean it, not in Left Behind. I mean, at some point, it was talked about maybe a couple times in church, just like what they said about the end of the world possibly being, but it wasn't like something that was brought about every mass. It's just something, just reading the gospel, reading, or not the gospel, just a reading, from the book. Yeah, I was like, okay, sure. Who knows what the future's going to hold? Who knows when Jesus is going to come back? I kind of felt maybe at the time there was like one day. Sure, one day. I don't think I ever really felt, oh, this is happening. This is pressing. This can happen tomorrow. It was never like that. It was just something distantly in the future, maybe.
So happy for you. So happy for you. Okay, next one. Let's see. Does it bother you that Jubilee talks about her ex so much on social media?
Nah, it doesn't. I
Brandon
really
said,
don't
I've been
care.
meaning to talk to you about that.
So you see, no, yeah, I really don't care. It doesn't bother me at all. It's your story. It's where you come from. You could talk about anyone that you've been with ever, any story with anybody. You lived it, didn't you? It's real, right? So, why would I get upset? You're not cheating. It doesn't bother me that you remember what it was like to be with someone else. If you have good times or bad times or whatever, live your life, enjoy your memories.
Enjoy my memories?
I mean, if they're good, if they're bad,
Okay.
then leave them.
I was
Let
like,
them
Brandon, we're
die.
talking about Ted.
Yeah,
Okay.
Ted, yeah.
Okay.
No issue.
What is it like being married to a content creator?
To a content creator. It's interesting because I feel like you are, well, I know you are extremely busy because of it. You work very, very hard for what you do, but you also care so very much about it. So I get it. I wish that you would, be able to relax more, and not be so in, trying to stay plugged in, think about what you're going to do next. But I do know, and that I agree that what you do is so very important, and I support all this that makes you happy. And so why would I want to get in the way of that? And that's not a big thing. It's chill. It's fun. It's funny whenever, like, in the odd occasions that someone comes up and says, "Hey," and they introduce themselves or whatnot. Um, but yeah, it's nice. It's no qualms here. No issues. Happy for
Yeah,
you.
it's honestly so embarrassing, guys. Bran can tell you. Whenever he's home and I'm recording, I'm like, put in your AirPods, please, please put in your AirPods. I'm sorry, and he's like, I've heard you record videos for like years now, and I'm like,
I've
I
heard the
don't
videos that
care.
you recorded.
I know, but I'm like, I don't want you to listen. I feel like it's so cringe. It's so cringe. I hate it.
It's not.
Yeah.
Like, if you forget, I am a musician. I am very familiar with doing multiple takes of something to get it right. Just hearing it over and over. I could, like, just the other day we were recording our first single. We were like getting it down. We were just sitting here for hours and just repping, and I stopped and I told the two of my bandmates, this is so fun. I'm having so much fun doing this. I was just enjoying it, loving it. I feel like this is just what I was meant to do. But just, I totally get it. You're doing the same thing. If you have multiple takes to work on an intro or this one story or part or whatnot. So, great. Yeah, get it till you like it.
Yeah. Oh, well, you have to tell people about your band and like when your single's coming out.
So, yes, I am in a band, like I mentioned in the other episode. We're here from San Antonio. We're like a psychedelic rock band, kind of like Pink Floyd meets Led Zeppelin is what I like to tell people if you're trying to get an idea. Plus, our own twist, with Grateful Dead and stuff. We have a single coming out very soon. It will, let's see, I think by the time this drops, we will have it out on Bandcamp and YouTube and hopefully the streaming services. We have that, working on it currently because I know there's a little bit of time between when we record and we release it. And if not, I'll have something there. That way it'll come up in the next few days after this thing drops. So keep your eye out. Desert
Yes, they
Sky
work
is our
so
name.
hard.
We work
Support
so hard.
Brandon. No, he's so good. He works really hard, guys.
If you're in town, come on out. We got a great show for you. I mean, we have a double LP's worth. As soon as we finish this, we're going to go on to continue finishing our story. It's kind of sci-fi based, bluesy rock with a lot of other fun twists you'll see. And yeah, and feel free to come on out. I'd love to meet anyone who's into the scene. And if anyone wants to jam, feel free to reach out too. I'm always looking for
He loves to jam.
new musicians. Oh yeah. All right. I have another question for you. I have a few questions for you, and I need you to knock these out.
Okay, let's go.
Quick.
I'm ready.
Let's see. How did you, Jubilee, find out that the false prophet researched you before he prophesied over you?
A Google search. That is what I did. I Googled him. Then I listened to the Heaven Bend podcast. It found out that he was doing it with other people and that he had been accused. And then I really just went back and realized that Ted had met him the day before, so he would have had time to go and do that. And all of my information was on Facebook. So it was honestly a very relieving moment because I thought that maybe I was outside of the will of God by getting divorced, even though I knew that I had to. So yeah, it was honestly the best moment ever.
Well, okay. Thank you for that. Let's see. I got it. The next one. Wow. Were your parents scared for you to date Brandon, moi, since I was Catholic?
No. They were fine. They were just happy that you were either a Christian or Catholic. They were like, close enough. Pretty much.
Could be worse.
That's what they thought at the time. Yeah. They did think it was a little soon, but I get that.
You're your own woman.
Yeah.
You do something. But I get that. I mean, I guess as opposed to someone, let's say like if I was like totally like an atheist or like a Satanist or something, I'm sure they would have more feelings about that. But nah, I mean, another follower of a god. All right, let's see. Next one. What did you think of Brand's Catholic upbringing? Did you ever go to his church?
Yes, I've gone to the church several times and honestly I loved it. I went and still didn't attend regularly, so it wasn't to that degree where I was like joining the church, but what I will say is I really enjoyed it when I went. It felt a lot more authentic than Bethel. To me, I liked that it was very stripped down and it didn't feel performative, so you don't have a lot of these like signs, wonders like breaking out and people sharing crazy testimonies. It was just chill. And I liked that it was mostly about love and being a good person. So I enjoyed when I visited with you and your mom. Still would go back. I mean, we went not that long ago, what, like 4 or 5 months ago, we went with your mom. Maybe it was longer than that, but
I think it was longer than that.
probably like a year ago. No. Yeah, but I think that it was very healing for me in that year after I left because like I said, I used to ask him to pray for me. And it was nice. I felt a level of protection and I also was still dealing with that fear that Ted was gonna come and get me and hurt me. And Bran had this crucifix, right? He had this crucifix that was up in his bedroom that it was like this wooden, really nice one that he had in his room. And I don't know, I was really drawn to it. I took a liking to it because I wasn't so used to seeing them, in my non denominational sector. And he let me take it. So I ended up taking it to my house for a while and I felt protected by God by having it in my room. And it was kind of just this heart thing. And I always felt like I kind of had a piece of Brandon with me before we were married. So there were definitely parts of his Catholic upbringing that I really liked and I was drawn to them having come out of Bethel.
I really wonder what it would have been like had we kind of really ingrained ourselves in that culture. Say if we went really hard into the Catholic route as opposed to, your non-denominational route, how that could have gone. It's a it's a different world. I mean, I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I mean, you know that I've since kind of moved away from that, but I don't hold any ill will, and it makes me happy to hear how you could see like where we were coming from, in that church, and just about as you said, just being a good person, loving God, loving each other, and yeah, you're chill, you're good. All right, let's see. I think I got another one for you. Let's see. I'm curious if you and Kenzie deconstructed at different rates and if it was ever hard. I'm sorry. If it
Ever
was ever hard.
hard. Um, Honestly, it was pretty much the same, I would say. Maybe different rates, but not enough for it to feel like it mattered. I don't know. I feel like we both understood that we were on a deconstruction journey. So, might one of us have gotten to a certain place before the other one? Sure, but I think we were both very open that we were on deconstruction journeys. So, it was nice to have her because I did lose a fair amount of friends when I left Bethel, and it feels like I was just so lucky to have Kenzie in my life because she was there with me the whole time. I did Bethel, her and my brother went out and did IHOP, and which is also a cult and horrible, and so much has come out against IHOP. And we both had very terrifying experiences on the mission field. We thought we were going to do that. And then for us to both have gotten divorced and deconstructed, it has just been so nice to feel like I have a friend whose path has mirrored mine so closely that we really do just get each other.
What would you say? Like, at what point do you think both of y'all realized, okay, we're on this journey together. We don't know where it's gonna go, but we're making a decision to like maybe change our direction a little bit.
I don't know. That's a hard question. I honestly don't remember. Like it just felt so natural that I don't really remember. We did have one hard time in our relationship when she decided to get the divorce or first initiated the separation, I believe. And she kind of didn't talk to me very much for a few months. And I swear that was so much harder than my own divorce. Like, and I've told her that, I sobbed over that and I thought I was going to lose her. in their divorce. And um, maybe that was like the first inkling of, oh no, what if our paths don't continue on together? But thankfully, no, it was just a breather. She was going through some stuff, and definitely
How'd y'all come back
for
together?
her. I came back. I think I came back from Atlanta to visit my family, and we ended up going to karaoke. We went to karaoke, we got drinks, we cried over drinks, and we were just like, I never want to lose you. I never want to lose you. And
Oh,
we've been good ever since. Yeah.
that's beautiful. I
Yeah.
like that story.
hmm
All right, last one. Big question for everyone. Pay attention. Will you ever write a book?
I am writing a book right now, actually. So
What?
I'm so excited. I started writing it a few months ago, and I've gotten a bit more serious about it in the last few weeks. So that has been really exciting. My goal is to have it done in the next year or so, and some exciting things are going on behind the scenes that I can't really talk about. But
Mm-hmm.
we will
Keep your
see.
eyes peeled.
Keep your eyes peeled. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, so I did have questions for both of us, and
Ooh.
we're gonna go through them. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Let's go. Let's go.
Rapid fire. What is his favorite part about you and yours of him? Okay, I'll go first. My
Sure.
favorite part about he just like didn't say anything though. My favorite part about Brandon is that he is like sunshine. He's just the happiest, chillest person ever. He's just happy. He's good vibes. He's a
Oh, thank
hippie.
you.
Yeah.
That's so kind.
hmm
Let's see. Favorite part of you, I would say, your genuinity. You knew it was coming. That's the word that I felt. Whether it is real or not, I feel it is the exact aspect of your personality that I think is number one to me, your genuinity, and then your sense of humor after that. And then a many number of things down the list. But you're just such a pure and honest and good person. And I am so lucky to have you in my life.
Thank you. Okay, how to approach these types of conversations in dating. So, like deconstruction, purity culture, all those things.
I feel like it's really important to just get into that. I mean, if you're dating, you're, seeing maybe being with this someone, with this person. I mean, if that's the goal of the date, have a relationship with someone, then talk about it. I mean, if you're just wanting to have some fun, then who cares, what y'all are really into? You do you. But if that's something they're like, I'm going to be with this person for a long amount of time, it's something that they're going to be involved in, and I really need to know where this person is at. That way there aren't any surprises down the road, or I'm just living a lie, being with someone who believes in things that I don't. And not to say you can't be with someone who believes other things than you do, but to ensure that they're compatible, to feel like you are allowed to be yourself and not feel like, oh, I have to, do something that I'm uncomfortable that's, wrong for this person or just wrong for you, you know? Just do your thing, live your life, love each other, be happy. And if it doesn't work out, oh well, move on to the next one.
Move on to the next one. Yeah, I would say to just stay true. Sounds so cheesy. Just stay true to yourself. If you are somebody who likes deep talks, you, in theory, want to end up with somebody who is like that. So if it feels natural and good to you to get into that stuff on the first date, then you should totally do that. Even if it feels like it's weird, because I mean, it worked out for us. I wouldn't want to be with somebody who wouldn't have enjoyed that as a first date. So, okay, were either of you nervous about the other one deconstructing?
How about you start?
Yes. So I think, well, we read some books. Well, actually, this is before we read books together. And I am not going to talk about what I believe. I will say that there was a situation where we were having a game night. This was like a year ago, probably. We were having a game night and we were talking about deconstruction and religion, like we do at every game night. And Brandon, he had taken a gummy, so he was just kind of like speaking his mind, okay? And he was like, I don't know. I just don't know know if I believe that there's like a God, like a big God in the sky. Like, I don't know if I believe that. And actually, you know what? I don't. Okay. And oh my God, guys, I was like, hello, what?
What?
No, because you have to imagine this was like a year ago, before, so some things had happened where we really started to like look into things, and come to our own conclusions about things. So I was still kind of in this, I don't know, like I don't want to look into anything. So then to hear like announce at a game night, like, oh, I don't believe in God. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? So that was fine. We talked about that later. And I think nervous is probably the right word. I always wanted Brandon to stay true to himself and what he believes. I feel like it was more so the setting though. I was like, I feel like maybe we should have talked about that. Like, you and me before like a game night,
I think it was probably just came from a place of following down my train of logic for the first time, allowing me to like sit down, like, okay, what do I actually believe? Looking inside, what do I actually feel is the case? What do I think is just a nice story, or what do I think is just myth or tradition, culture, and when I finally broke it down and was honest with how I feel and how I've felt for a long time, yeah, I don't think it's a big God in the sky. I think that there's a possibility of something, but not in the way that we've, been taught for the majority of our lives.
Yeah, and I think Brandon's answer to that is that he was never nervous about me.
Oh, nervous? Oh, yeah, no.
Okay. Ooh. What is Brandon's take on the maid of honor situation with Crystal? So let me give you the lore. I'll give you the 10-second little notes, okay? My maid of honor pulled a con on the wedding day, and I ended up finding that she had taken around $300,000 or accepted around $300,000 from my family member with dementia, and then it caused us to, sorry, he has his hands up. He's counting me down. Yeah, found that out, and basically it led to a lot of other horrible things coming out, and yeah, we ended up losing half of the people in our wedding party from our lives, and that has been extremely painful. So, Brandon, what is your take on the maid of honor situation?
Oh, so that is something that I have feelings about. I know that I have feelings about, and then time goes on, my memory isn't the best, and I just forget the details. And I was like, I just started thinking about it. Like, yeah, I remember this situation. What were the details? And then Julie and I talk, and then I get so upset. I start pacing, and then she reminds me of more things, and I remember more things. And then once I get a whole like scope for everything again, and like other things related to this person, there's many, many levels. I get very, very upset, very frustrated, very kind of like righteous, and I start cussing because my emotions are like boiling out of me as to how
Brandon cussing is so funny to me.
terrible, ridiculous, and wrong and disgusting and everything connected to all of that. Just there's so much there. And
yeah, if y'all think you know it, you don't.
You do not.
Yeah,
you do
believe
not
me,
know the half.
I've told some people like off the record who I've had on Heel Dish, like we just end up like getting into stuff, and they're like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like it could be a movie. All this stuff that's been coming out." But
and by the way, next summer, keep your eye.
Literally, maid of honor. No, I will say with this situation, there was like something that was so upsetting to me. I haven't really talked about it online, but while all of this was going on and I was doing all of this research because at this point she was still living with my family member. We couldn't get her out of the house. It was horrible. We had to coordinate care with her and be around her when she was like still gaslighting me. It was absolutely horrible. And things were bad. Like the vibes were low over there. And I was so annoyed because she went up to Brandon and she asked if Brandon would teach her son how to play guitar and if she could pay him to. And one thing you have to know about Crystal is Crystal told me that every man would cheat on his wife for her. and that is why she needed to be careful around men, because she's just so attractive that every single man would leave their wives, right? So I don't know. She definitely kind of had this air. And I think other family members who we no longer talk to had kind of made it seem like, oh, Juby's just being Juby. And they were kind of acting as if Brandon didn't agree with everything that was going on. And like, he definitely did agree. But just because you're so nice and so smiley, it felt like she was trying to go behind my back and be like, we both know that your wife is dramatic. So would you like to teach my son guitar? It was very strange, you know? But no, Brandon equally feels the same way about our future kids and protecting them from some of the really horrible things that have come out that we haven't talked about publicly. So, yeah, but it was really crazy because it was kind of like they were acting that you didn't feel the exact same way, but you definitely did.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why they got the impression that I would side with anyone other than my wife, who I very luckily, one thing I'm so happy about is that you and I agree on just most things just naturally. It just is. And it's such a relief, to just be like, when it, like, sometimes we have interest difference. Maybe someone likes chick flicks, and I like dramas when it comes to movies. Okay, fine. But when it comes to like actual like moral decisions and like other things like raising a child and stuff, and what's right and wrong, and in other aspects, we just agree. We're not fighting over important things like this. It's you and I. I don't think there's been really one point where we've actually like totally, no, you're wrong, no, you're wrong, and just not seeing the other's point of view. And I feel like, thank God.
Thank God is
it
right.
makes this so much easier, and that way we know we got each other. We got each other. We're good.
Okay, I have some lighthearted questions.
Ooh.
Waffles or pancakes?
Waffles or pancakes? Eggo waffles.
Waffles for sure. Okay, do we like Disney or Universal more?
Ooh, for what? Or just like period?
Period.
Disney or Universal more? I'm a nostalgic person. I think I'd go with Disney.
I think I would go with Universal as of now.
Wow.
What do you mean?
Period.
Why do you say wow? I love Universal. I've told you that. It's so good.
Too. I think it's a nostalgia, and I think there's still a lot of good stuff at Disney. I think, is it Universal more enjoyable? I think so, especially as like an adult. The rides are a bit more raucous, a bit more fun, things out there. It's a little bit less kiddie. But it's also a little bit less nostalgic because it's not, it's less things that are tied to like your childhood and stuff. But they're so close. They're so close that it's just very slight differences in personality that let one decide between one or the other.
The rides
I don't hold it against
good.
you.
I want to go to the new Epic Universe. Oh my gosh.
We are going to do that. It's going to happen.
Okay, how old are our cats and what made us decide to get Indy?
They are, let's see. We got
4.
them in 20. Oh, okay. There we go. 4 years old.
Yeah, I actually, guys, this was kind of crazy. I got them without asking Brandon because we were not engaged yet. Technically, we were still dating. Literally, y'all. Yeah. Looking back, I'm like, this was actually kind of uncool. Okay, maybe not uncool, but we had already gone to look at rings. I knew a proposal was coming and I picked out the ring that I wanted, and he did know I was going to get a cat and he was cool with that. He was cool with me getting a cat, but he was at work and I went to the Humane Society with my sisters and I got 2 cats and I surprised him. And then he proposed like 4 days later or something. So,
but look, it was worth it. Look at them.
I know.
They're bathing each other. They're so cute.
I know, they're kissing in the back, guys. It's so cute. And then we decided to get Indy solely on a whim. We were going to go to this really nice wine bar where we get this cheese and meat tray. And I was like, let's go to the Humane Society and just like hug some dogs, which we've done before. And we show up and Indy looked so sad. She was like shaking like a leaf in the corner. And I was like, let's just cuddle this one dog. And I kid you not, guys, she was hugging me. She put her paws around on my shoulders. And immediately I was just like, hey, Brandon, so how do we take her home? What are the logistics? Let's do it. What if we did? And it took him like a little bit, but he's been wanting a dog for a long time though.
So I've always said, like, I didn't really grow up with a dog. When I was little, we had one. I remember maybe a year that we did, and then 6 months or so at the end of high school, but it was not really a thing. But I felt like having a dog would fill this like small part of my soul that just would not be filled otherwise. And I mean, I could go without, I could have gone my whole life without having a dog. But I feel like having a dog, I felt like it would make me just that much happier. And as time has gone on, I mean, it hasn't been forever and ever, but I love Indy so very much. And I know that we're going to fall in love with her even more.
She's a
as more
daddy's
time
girl.
passes.
She loves him.
Aw, she loves her mom, though. She loves both of us.
She does.
So
I do feel like it's
much.
equal. She just gets so excited when he comes home from work. Like, oh my gosh, zoomies galore. She's so happy. Okay. Last one. What are both of your favorite books that you've read together?
Oh, that is a great question.
We've read so many books together.
Ooh. Is it Frederick Bachman? Taylor Jenkins Reid? I don't know.
You can name a few.
Let's see. What was our favorite Taylor? Oh, Love Hypothesis.
I love
totally
Hypothesis.
forgot
I
about
reread it recently. It's so good.
I need to reread it again. But no, the film is going to come out. So I'm going to wait until the film comes out, then reread it. The same thing we did with People We Know on Vacation. I wanted to reread it, but I knew the film was going to come out, and the actor that we like from Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, was in that. And if you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's on Netflix, right?
Yes, it's so good. Loved it.
It is a great film. It's so fun. It like genuinely, it is a cut above just other rom-coms. The material is very strong. You can tell, like the story throughout it. But I'd say maybe Love Hypothesis, but maybe like a Malibu Rising or Seven Husbands, or maybe Daisy Jones and the Six.
I'm obsessed that Bran loves rom-coms. Thank God. Yeah,
I do.
He does. We have so much fun. So I think I'm a huge Emily Henry person. I love People We Meet on Vacation. I love Abby Jimenez. Yours truly. Oh my gosh. Oh, Funny Story. Funny Story is so great. And I'm trying to think of more serious ones. Like we definitely
Ugly Love.
Stop. Oh no, that one wasn't very good. Yeah, we've definitely like read some memoirs together as well. And Come As You Are was great. I'm more of like a memoir person, but he likes happy books. He also loves 11/22/63. That's one of his favorite books.
Stephen King. That's a great one. That is great. Great book. Very great. I am working my way through King. I think, are those the only two I've read? Maybe there's another one. Can't remember. There are so many different books that we've read, but I think for me it probably ranges in that Taylor Jenkins Reid. I'll say Daisy Jones and the Six, because I love Taylor Jenkins Reid and music. It's like an era that I love, and I love the drama in there, and the characters are so well done. And that's like aside from Harry Potter, because if you put Harry Potter in there, that's like an easy win.
Yeah. I feel like those can't even count, Yeah,
those don't count.
It's like a given. But all right. Well, I think that is all of our questions. So, Brandon, thank you so much for coming on. And where can people find your band and your song coming out?
They can find me, Branshore. I think it's still Branshore on Instagram. Just look at you following I'm following you, and I show up every once in a while. I'm tagged on a few years. If you want to find the band, look up Desert Sky Band on Instagram. You can find it through me. Like I said, by the time this episode drops, we should have our first single out on Bandcamp and YouTube, and then fingers crossed on Apple Music and Spotify. And that song is going to be Knife in the Sand. Just keep an eye out. Pink Floyd, Led Zeppelin, put together. I played lead guitar on it. Lead guitar, I sang. It's a good time.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for coming on, husband. I love you so much. And we are very hungry, low key. So we are going to go get some food.
Love you, honey.
Yes.
Thanks for having me.
Of course.
This was fun.
Yay. Well, I'm so glad people wanted to have you on. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So if you guys could please leave a positive review for Healdish, that would be awesome. And if you guys don't know, I have another podcast called The Overshare Hour with Kenzie. So like I said, she also deconstructed pretty much the same time as me. So we do have a lot of deconstruction content on there as well, but we also do crazy Reddit stories and also just listener write-ins. So we give advice. So with all of that being said, I will see you guys next week for another episode of Healdish.